What is going on, you two? Welcome to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Eric Wilson. Today, joined by my co host, Will Cohen. We're here to continue our NHL trade deadline content. Yesterday's episode, we talked about three players on the Rangers that we think should be traded away. Now we're back for the next week and a half or so to talk about all the players that we would be interested in the Rangers acquiring. Starting off today with a hot one. We're talking about Alex Tuch. Now, I want to be very clear before we get into the episode. As of now, there have been absolutely zero reports about the Rangers being interested in him or the Buffalo Sabres looking to move him. This is kind of just a personal preference episode to get things started. As the deadline grows closer and more reports coming in, we can really narrow down the search on who we think we're going to get as instead of who we want to get. So before y'all go run to the comments, letting us know that this is purely speculation and rumors and just our personal feelings. Yes, you are right. We're aware. But this is just our take. Hopefully Chris Drury listens and maybe a deal can get inspired by us. So just wanted to give that disclaimer right there. But we're going to get right on into it. But before we do, make sure you guys like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss notification. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below if you would be interested in making a trade for Alex Tuch. And lastly, be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers. But Will, my friend, when I asked you this morning to name a player that you would be interested in acquiring, you were the one that said Alex Tuch. So started off right off the bat. How are you doing, and what made this name come to your head?
I'm doing good. Alex Tuch is actually a name that I've liked since he was with the Vegas Golden Knights. It wasn't really until until he went to the Sabres in the um as part of the Eichel trade um that I really had an eye on him. But since he's gotten to Buffalo, he has become a very good right winger, and I think that he would easily be the best right winger we've had since Buchnevich left. To pair on that top line, I think like grit, but he brings you points. But he can play with grit. He plays with that edge. He's fast. I'm pretty sure he kills penalties for the Sabres. I'm not entirely sure by that, which kind of sucks because I should know. Um,
Keep going, I'll find out.
I know he's very well liked in Buffalo. I know the fans really like him a lot. I know they like what he brings to the table. Um, I don't think that he's like a truly elite right winger, but he is one of those higher end talents that you bring in and he will make your team better. So that's kind of what I was thinking when I brought up the name Alex Tuch. Do I think the Rangers should trade for him? And I know we'll get into that later. Probably not because like, assets wise and how, the future is going to look, but that is a name that if the Rangers were to make a trade, I would love for them to be on Alex Tuch.
So just want to confirm he does play on Buffalo's first penalty kill unit. So you're right there, which is pretty impressive looking at his stats here because, the Sabres, they're a decent team this year. I don't want to say they're bad. They're a lot better than they have been in years past, but, they're not a Stanley Cup contending team. And playing on the penalty kill where you're constantly down shorthanded, and he's still a plus 15 this season. So his defensive skill could be greatly appreciated on this New York Rangers team. Just looking at the numbers, I'm like, he kind of reminds me of what JT Miller kind of provides to the team, like a bigger, more physical forward that's also pretty solid at defense. In the 55 games played this season, he has 19 goals and 43 points. So not a point per game player, but again, he's on Buffalo. Put him with Artemi Panarin and JT Miller. Maybe something magical happens and these numbers skyrocket even higher. So just looking at the stats at just a base level, I think this trade would be an absolute win for the Rangers. But, getting into the logistics of it, things start to get a little bit more complicated. Okay. Now, looking at his contract, okay, he signed this season and next season. So it wouldn't be a pure 1-year rental. You would have one extra season with him, which is a plus, but it's also just something to keep in mind moving forward with the contract and everything. His average annual value is $4.75 million. So, I mean, honestly, looking at the trajectory at 55 games played, 43 points, if he plays the whole season, he's definitely going to hit 50 points, maybe 60, upper 60 points with Buffalo, which is really impressive. So, like a 60-point player at less than 5 million. I like that, especially with the cap going up, gives you a lot more wiggle room to have. Um, and he's 28 years old, so the contract is going to expire when he's 29. You know, young enough to the point where if he is on the Rangers or wherever, if he's looking for a pay raise and a multi-year extension, he's young enough to earn that. It wouldn't be like we're acquiring a 34-year-old player or anything ridiculous like that. I know we always tend to mess up the trade clauses that are involved in these contract discussions, so I made sure to have it here. He has a modified no trade through the remainder of the contract. It's just a 5-team no trade list. So if the Rangers were interested in Alex Tuch, all they would have to do is hope that they are not one of the 5 teams that he has said he does not want to be traded to. But knowing our luck, we would be the first team on that list. So I feel like stat-wise, contract-wise, it's pretty appealing to me. It's just a matter of what are you going to have to give up. This wouldn't be a cheap deal to make with Buffalo, especially being another Eastern Conference team. It's going to cost a lot for the Sabres to send arguably their best player. I don't even know if that's arguably. That's probably just outright known. Unless, who do you think could be better?
Like Dahlin and Tage Thompson, probably.
Oh, yeah. Tage Thompson blanked right there. I would say that Tuch is better than Dahlin, but Thompson is most certainly better than Alex Tuch. Apologies out there for any Tage Thompson supporters. I completely forgot that he existed for a moment there. Point is, though, he's one of their better players, and trading him to another Eastern Conference team obviously would not be ideal. So picking up a cheap contract for a player who's going to score high 60 points most likely by the end of this season, that's only 28 years old, I think it's going to cost a lot. So that's just my take. Stat-wise, contract-wise, everything's telling me do it, but it's the return package that might stray me away. So and if you have anything to add about the contract, feel free. If not, I'm curious to know what you would be willing to give up. And if you're not willing to give it up, what do you think the Sabres would command for Tuch?
I'm going to ask for it first. I mean, 100% they're going to ask for it first.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably going to ask for a top prospect. The Rangers probably wouldn't give up Gabe Perreault in a deal like this, I don't think. It'd probably have to be like, let's say like Brennan Othmann. I know that name is thrown out in a lot of trade packages. I'd probably say that he would be a name to go. Maybe Brett Berard if they like. But at the same time, if you're looking in, well, I don't even know. You'd probably have to add like another low level tier, like a low level prospect if you add, Berard and or um Othman. So I'd say probably one of those two, a first round pick, and then like a B tier prospect, something like that, or maybe like another pick. They're going to be asking for a lot. I mean, obviously he's one of their best players. He's 28 years old. He's probably 50 to 60 point player, and he's only making $4 million, like a little over $4 million. I mean, that's going to be teams are going to want that because he doesn't command money and he scores a lot and he does plays on the power play, plays on the penalty kill. So probably like a high level prospect, a first, and then like a mid round pick or a B tier prospect, like a
How about
B or C
this?
tier prospect.
Let me pose a deal to you. Rangers acquire Alex Tuch, no salary retained. The Sabres acquire first round pick, Brennan Othmann, and let's go with Matthew Robertson. Would you make that deal?
Oh, 100%. Well, oh, okay. Are the Rangers good next year?
Depends on how you feel. Do you think Tuch would make us better next year? And Ryan Lindgren and Keandre Miller are gone.
I don't know. I mean, there's so much that they got to do in the. I mean, there's a lot they'd have to do. They'd have to fill 2 holes on defense.
They would.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Just for the sake of the discussion, how
Let's
about
say
we
for the
say
sake of the discussion, I'm
we're
gonna
good?
say yes. Yeah.
We're good. We're good next year.
Okay.
But if
Yeah.
we're
100%. I'm
but if
taking
we're
that trade
bad
for
next
Alex
year,
Tuch.
still you're saying no.
Like I think if the Rangers are bad next year, I think the thing is, are you gonna give up assets for an aging player? That I mean, he is good, obviously, for an aging player that you have to give a contract to, and after next year, while also having to fill other holes. Who knows what he's going to command? He's probably going to command a lot more than 4 million after his contract. but there's also contracts coming off the books, that, such like that. I mean, there's really so much that you have to think about when doing this. Crap. It just really goes back to the asset thing. Do you really want to give up assets knowing that you may not be in a position to make the playoffs next year? I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, and
Especially
look
a
at
first round
it,
pick.
think about the trajectory that this team is going on. Like a lot of our older veterans are coming up with expiring contracts
Mm,
that I don't know if are going to be extended. I feel like within the next couple of seasons, especially if we start missing the playoffs, we're going to see a lot younger Rangers team. I think as soon as next year, we're going to see Brennan Othman, Zach Jones, maybe even Brett Berard having full-time roster spots. Is adding another almost 30-year-old player at this time a good idea? I'm not sure. But then again, we
mm,
just did add JT Miller, who's going to be here for another 5 years and is already 30. So who knows what's going to happen with this team? So
mm,
I don't know. I think to just wrap up the discussion, the name of the video is Can the Rangers pull off a trade for Alex Tuch? 100%. They absolutely can if they really wanted to. But it's should they? It's a little iffy. Stat wise,
mm,
contract wise, yeah. Just depends on how you want to handle the future. If you're trying to
mm,
win next season, go for it. If you're
mm,
thinking maybe a retool and come back in a few seasons, probably not. But
mm.
we'll see. Did you have anything else to add, or are we good here?
Nah, I mean, I really like Alex Tuck. If this was a video last year, I would be hammering that they should be
Well,
trading for
that's
him.
why that is why
Yes.
when you brought up the name Alex Tuck, I thought about it and I was like, there haven't really been any reports or
Mhm,
big speculation this season. But then I look back to like the last 2 or 3 years, this man's name has always come up. And I wouldn't be surprised if it comes up at some point within the next week and a half. So
See,
I
I just like
honestly,
Alex.
no, I
Oh,
like him too. And I
mm,
think the chances of him being traded out of Buffalo at this deadline are pretty high. It's just a matter of where. And I
mhm.
honestly throw our name in the mix. Why not us? Right. But that about wraps up our discussion on Alex Tuch and this year's trade deadline. If there are any other players that you guys are interested in hearing us talk about, giving our thoughts on if a trade should or can or won't happen, let us know. I'd be more than happy to talk about it. This is one of the most entertaining times of year. So we'll be back with a lot of content as this deadline approaches. So, like I said, comments, blow it up, like button, hit it, subscribe button, smack it, and those socials at Fireside Rangers. Maybe go check them out if you have a couple extra minutes. But thank you to everyone for tuning in. Hope you all have a phenomenal night. And most importantly, let's go
Let's go
Rangers.
Rangers.